You can see the title of my talk is "You Asked Me to Prove It," and I'm sure that you've had some of these kinds of experiences in your life where you're in a discussion with somebody about some aspect of our faith, and they say, "Well, you can't prove it," or well, "Can't you prove that to me? Show it to me, then I can believe it." Now, the question I have is, what do they really want? What are they expecting? Are they expecting us to lay out a long proof and then they'll say, "Oh, now I see, now I understand"? But I'm still not sure what they mean by that. But what we're going to talk about today, there are two classical methods of proof for establishing truth in our society. I say in our society because in other times it's been different than this. But now most people think of proof, either do it through a court of law, in which lawyers get together and people give testimonies and they debate and they argue, and finally a jury comes up with what is the truth. I'm going to go to the other kind of proof. The other proof is a logical deduction, starting from some assumptions. You may kind of remember this with good memories or bad memories from your geometry days, where you started off with some postulates or axioms or whatever, and then you proved theorems. And this is a logical proof, logical deduction. And a lot of people think of this as what you mean when you say prove. They want you to prove from some assumptions that this has to be the case. And in the early 19th century, there was a mathematician by the name of Hilbert that posed several questions, less than 20, several questions, and said, if we can answer these questions, we have solved all the problems, everything in mathematics. There's nothing more to do in mathematics if we've done all that. So he's kind of narrowed it down and said, if we can just take care of these things, we'll be done. But then along came Gödel. Now Gödel is a German mathematician, Kurt Gödel. Kurt Gödel proved a very important theorem at that point. And his theorem says, for any axiomatic system powerful enough to describe natural numbers, arithmetic, there are true propositions about the natural numbers that cannot be proven from the axioms. That's quite a statement when you think about it. Now don't worry about it. Some big mathematical words in there that we may not want to worry about right now. I'll get to it later. But I want you to note one thing. He says the natural numbers. The natural numbers are the numbers we count with. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now how far do those go? They go on forever, right? There's no biggest natural number. You can always go one more. There's no biggest one. And that leads us to infinity. The natural numbers, should I keep doing this? The natural numbers is an infinite set. Infinity, we all know it's this little thing with a lazy 8. And what is infinity? Infinity, as I say on the slide here, it's not a number. Don't think of the infinity as a number. It's a concept that sits in our head. In fact, numbers sit in our head. You've never seen a 2. You've seen the symbol for 2, and you've seen 2 things, but the concept of 2 is in your head. Likewise, infinity is a concept that's in our head that's completely different than a number. Infinity is something, but it just means to us boundless. There's no boundary. It just goes on forever. It's hard for us to think about something going on forever because we say, well, it's got to stop somewhere. Well, then if it stops, what's on the other side? Infinity is boundless. It's hard for us to think about something that's boundless. But that's what this Gödel's theorem is about. It's in that kind of a setting. It's in a boundless setting. So what he proved in ordinary language is, in an infinite world, true statements and provable statements are not the same thing. There are true statements, and we can prove a lot of them, but we can't prove them all. There are some provable statements that we can't prove. So true statements and provable statements aren't the same thing. And it isn't that we can't prove anything in infinite world. The calculus is based on a lot of things you prove in infinite world. So we have all kinds of things in math. But what this did, it really kind of shook up the whole thing about Gödel. Let me finish up. So I want to say one more thing. And we think of, we all want to say is God is infinite. He's eternal. We use the words like omniscient and omnipresent and all those things. And we want infinite world. Infinite God, I mean. And so that means there are true statements about God and about our faith that we can't prove. It's the same thing. We can't prove them all. So we can prove some. God doesn't expect us to throw our mind away. We can prove some when we think, but we can't prove all of them. And so that leads us to, as Abigail said, that leads us back to faith. We have to trust in God and rely on the gift of faith that God gives us.